Lost.
Madam Chair, I thought we have kept the tradition. The tradition is no longer ask any question. That was the tradition. So why are you voting against the motion?
The majority of the will
It's-
is
it's-
always respect.
It's
The will of the
inconsistent
majority
with
is
the
always
tradition that
respected.
we have already agreed to observe.
So we will
Yes, Madam
proceed
Chair.
to the next.
You mentioned earlier that we will keep up the tradition. You said no. Earlier,
For
no,
orderly
we voted
proceedings, I
against.
remind the members to please wait to be recognized before speaking. So, the chair now recognizes the
Madam
budget
Chair.
sponsor, the Honorable Zia Adyong, to give a recap of what transpired in the last hearing.
Madam Chair,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, before
Madam Chair.
we proceed with Vice Chair Adjong, can I
Yes,
explain my
um,
vote, Madam Chair?
Paduano?
Can I explain my vote? Why I voted against the motion of the Honorable Marcoleta? Just a short lang.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you po. Madam Chair, tama po. During the previous hearing, wala pong nag-move to terminate the budget. That's number 1 po of the OBP. Number 2 po, the demand or the answers being given by the Vice President during the time. Personally, it does not satisfy this representation. Thirdly, Madam Chair, the courtesy being given to the office of the Vice President is afforded if she is present in the day's hearing. How can you give that courtesy when Faki is absent in the day's hearing, Madam Chair? I might change my vote for that, but
Was the President of the Philippines
are you
present?
recognized?
Please.
Congressman,
Please
I am
wait
about
to
to
be
be recognized, Madam Chair.
Please wait to be recognized. Please proceed, Kong Paduano. You
you're
have
not yet
30 seconds.
recognized, Marcoleta. Madam Chair, maybe I will change my vote if the for the motion Marcoleta if the Vice President is present in this hearing. But he's absent. How can I personally vote for that? Because he's not present in today's hearing, Madam Chair, and that courtesy should be given to those head of office that should be present during the budget deliberation, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
So, Kong Zia, you're now recognized. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Majority Leader, Representative Manix Dalipe, Committee Chair Saldico, members, honorable members of this committee, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Good morning po sa ating lahat and welcome to the continuation of the budget briefing of the proposed 2025 budget for the Office of the Vice President. Madam Chair, in the previous hearing for fiscal year 2025, the Office of the Vice President proposed a budget of 2,037,305. As of the most recent report, the OVP has an obligation rate of 39.9% for 2024. During the last budget briefing, several topics were propounded that the committee sought to be clarified upon. First, members of the committee asked the Office of the Vice President regarding the notice of disallowance issued by COA for the confidential funds released in 2022 indicated that 73 million pesos or 58.6% of total was not utilized in compliance with Joint Memorandum Circular 2015-01 of COA, DBM, DILG, GCG, and DND. The Commission on Audit has ordered the disallowed amount to be returned. Second, several members of the committee examined the grounds for the disallowance. The COA report stated that this was due to non-compliance with guidelines and the non-submission of supporting evidence or documents. Third, it was noted by members of the committee that the 125 million pesos confidential fund for the fiscal year 2022 was utilized from December 1 to December 31 of the same year, in 2022. A common comment by members, Madam Chair, was that this short period of time within which a huge amount of fund is spent.
Colleagues, Madam Chair.
That is correct.
Madam Chair, kahapon kasi hindi na kami pinagtanong sa Office of the President. Tapos ngayon naman, wala naman yung Office of the Vice President para tanungin namin, Madam Chair. So, Madam Chair, hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit yung two highest position in the land natin ganito sa ating budget hearing sa Kongreso, no? Madam Chair, isang insulto sa mamamayang Pilipino at sa mga kinatawan dito sa loob ng Kongreso na hinalal ng mamamayan. Ano? Ang hiling natin makapagpaliwanag ng accountability at ang hiling natin ay maglinaw, no, ng mga, kasi marami pa po tayong tanong kaugnay dito. She may not like our questions last hearing, Madam Chair. She may not like being questioned about the OVP expenses. She may not like sitting with us here in the House. But, Madam Chair, she is accountable to the people and she has this sworn duty to the Constitution, being the head of the agency, to be here, no, para po ipagtanggol or malaman natin yung budget niya, Madam Chair. So yun lang, Madam Chair, as a manifestation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, may I manifest also?
Kong Arlene? Sorry, Kong Franz.
Madam
Yes,
Chair, pwede ba kami naman muna, hindi naman sunod-sunod na
binigyan-
sila na lang. Madam Chair, please.
So, Madam
I'd
Chair,
I'd
so
like
wala
to,
pa naman po
before
tayo
you proceed,
sa...
Before
May
you
I
proceed,
raise a
before you proceed,
parliamentary
Conference,
inquiry, Madam Chair?
Before you proceed, I'd like to remind our members for orderly proceedings, please wait to be acknowledged
Yes,
before
ma'am,
you
pero-
speak. So sa ngayon po, dahil nauna po si Kong Franz, paunahin na muna natin siya. So Kong Franz, please proceed.
puro sila
And
na
then
po
I will
yung-
recognize you after. Kong Dante.
Magkakasunod, Madam eh.
Medyo nauna lang po siya ng 1
Di
second
ba,
po.
di ba
Kong
ang
Dante.
ating tradition, unang minority, pagkatas majority?
Wala pa po
sunod-sunod
tayo sa
naman
interpellation,
sila.
Kong
Oo nga
Dante.
po, pero maski na sa manifestation, dapat ganun din.
Nauna lang po siya, so yes po. Kong Franz, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, ang ibig sabihin nito ay kahit na binigyan natin ang Office of the Vice President na second round, no, second time around na magpaliwanag do sa budget at magkaroon tayo ng pagkakataon na siya ay matanong dahil ito naman po talaga yung mandato natin dito sa Kongreso, no, mabusisi yung budget. So ang ibig sabihin po nito ay binoboykot niya tayo. Pagboboykot ito, Madam Chair, dahil wala pang akong natatandaan na ahensya ng gobyerno o executive branch na binoykot ang Kongreso dito sa budget hearing and deliberation. So ang ibig sabihin, Madam Chair, betrayal of her oath of office. Kahapon nakita ko yung kanyang video na ginagalang niya yung power of the purse ng Kongreso. Alam niya na tayo po yung nag-allocate or nagbabudget or nag-approve ng budget ng lahat ng ahensya. So dahil pinapaubaya niya na sa atin ito, na hindi niya man lang i-defend, kasi ang laki-laki nung, Madam Chair, yung budget for socio-economic program delivery, socio-economic projects and stakeholder, ang ibig sabihin ba niyan, inaabandona niya na yung pinaplano niya siguro na mga constituents niya, na bibigyan niya nitong mga programs na ito. So, Madam Chair, so, ang problema dito, no, talagang bratinela to the max, no, na ayaw nang matanong, no, umiiwas sa mga tanong, at eto pa, no, kapag gusto nating tanungin, hindi uma-attend doon sa no. Kaya talagang Madam Chair, siguro later on, kung ano yung later on na lang po, Madam Chair, yung aking magiging pasya, no, dito sa magiging budget at recommendation sa budget ng OBP. So, pasensya na po ang taong bayan, binoykot tayo ng Vice President.
Salamat, Kong Franz. Kong Marcoleta, you're now recognized.
Salamat po, Madam Chair. Yung hindi po pagdating ng ating pangalawang Pangulo ngayon, ang suspetsa ko po ay dahil sa nangyari na mga pagtatanong nung nakaraang pagdinig. I have heard the volume and the barrage of questions asked by members of this committee to the Vice President. Despite the fact, Madam Chair, I heard her several times saying, I forgo the opportunity of defending the OBP budget for 2025 by question and answer, and I leave it to the House of Representatives to decide on such proposal as presented. That was the template of an answer given by the Office of the Vice President. Madam Chair, napilitan po akong mag-raise ng parliamentary inquiry. I think I have earned this. If I survive my term up to next year, I would have survived also, or I would have completed 18 years in this institution. And in this length of time, I have observed a tradition. The tradition is the two highest positions of government, namely the office of the Vice President and the office of the President, are not traditionally subjected to questions. I have observed this for so long a time. May I refresh the memory of the members of this committee, Madam Chair. In 2022, the Minority Leader, Honorable Libanan, citing courtesy to the office of the Vice President, took only about 13 minutes to move for the termination of the budget of the Vice President. And after that, the Majority Leader seconded the motion. That was 2022, Madam Chair. Then 2023, no less than the Presidential son, our own Senior Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Sandro Marcos, stood up and invoked the long-honored tradition of according courtesy to the OBP, the Office of the Vice President. And in the same manner, he moved for the termination of the office of the budget, the consideration of the budget of the Office of the President, Vice President. I also recall, Madam Chair, that it was terminated. And with the full consternation of Honorable Franz Castro, who then objected, but her objections were never heard until she moved to make up record by way of manifestation her objection. But the committee collectively said, you can no longer do that because there was already a termination of the hearing. This is the time-honored tradition, Madam Chair. For so long a time, we have kept and observed this. We have upheld this tradition. My question is this committee authorized to set aside or discard the tradition? That is the question.
Your Honor, such motion was not introduced in the last hearing.
I am now introducing the motion, Madam Chair.
I second, Madam Chair.
To terminate the consideration of the budget of the Vice President, Madam Chair, on the basis of the long and time-honored tradition, Madam Chair. In order for us to respect a tradition in the same manner that we have respected the tradition here, that the first to interpolate every time is the member of the minority. That is the tradition. We have not yet discarded that. We're observing that because we are honorable members of this Congress. So the question is, why have we discarded that tradition? Is this committee authorized to set aside the tradition? If we are not able to do that, Madam Chair, then I honorably, respectfully now move to terminate consideration of the budget of the Office of the Vice President, and I so move.
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, Madam Chair, Madam Chair.
Move and seconded.
Session suspended. The majority of the will is always respect.
It's
The will of the
inconsistent
majority
with
is
the
always
tradition that
respected.
we have already agreed to observe.
So